First of all, what do you make of this rift, perhaps, between the Saudis and the Russians when it comes to extending this deal into the second half?
Dan, we heard yesterday at the JMMC that Minister Khalid Al-Faleh clearly wants to roll over the deal in its current form into the second half of the year. While Russia is looking for some kind of adjustment, perhaps in volumes and in quotas, I don't see this as a major rift. I see that this is something that they could overcome at the upcoming OPEC meeting. But everybody seems to be on board in general to stay the course, to continue this cooperation because it's benefited everyone.
So what would this look like? Would that result in some kind of reduction in compliance or perhaps a pullback from this 1.2 million barrel figure? What would a volume adjustment actually be?
Well, the Joint Technical Committee met a day ahead of the JMMC meeting, and they looked at a number of scenarios. And one of the scenarios was 100% compliance to the current deal, and other scenarios included increasing volumes. It hasn't been set yet an increase by how much exactly, but they're looking at several options. But what I found out from the Technical Committee is that the option where they actually increase the volumes, they found out that this might lead to an inventory buildup during the third quarter or the fourth quarter of the year. So I don't know if everybody will be okay with that option, especially Minister Al-Faleh. So for the time being, I see the Saudis supporting 100% compliance of the current deal.
One other thing that has certainly clouded the outlook for these producers as well is the rising geopolitical tensions in the region. Do you think that this issue could perhaps maybe provide some upside risk for oil and just add another layer of uncertainty for them as they come into this June OPEC meeting?
Absolutely. I mean, geopolitics and the risks and the economic risks as well of a trade war, these are all major factors that might shift the decision. For the time being, they want to reassure the markets on several levels. One is that they will stay the course with this, with the current agreement. But at the same time, you heard Minister Al-Faleh yesterday saying that if there is an incremental demand, especially of the impact of the U.S. sanctions on Iranian crude, that they're ready and prepared to increase their production and to make up for this loss. So we might see adjustments, as you said, because of the political and geopolitical risks that are involved.
And so far, Saudi Arabia and the UAE have held off on the calls from the US President Donald Trump to increase production to make up for some of those Iranian outages. But it's not just that, it's also Venezuela and Nigeria and Libya and other barrels coming offline. Do you think that the pressure from the United States is going to continue, and what challenge does that present coming into the June OPEC meeting?
Well, one thing to note, Dan, that we haven't seen President Trump tweeting during this JMMC. I've heard from many people in the market that perhaps he's waiting for the OPEC meeting in June, and then he will start applying this social media pressure that we've seen before. But for sure, on some level, I think the U.S. will continue pushing its agenda, which is keeping its prices down, gasoline down. What kind of impact it'll have on producers like the UAE and Saudi still remains to be seen. For the time being, we are told that, especially in Saudi Arabia, the technocrats are very much still in charge of Saudi policy, and they try to minimize as much as possible these kind of external political factors.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.